oral presentation, I will be talking about the story The Open Boat. The Open Boat is a short story written by American author Stephen Crane in 1897. This story was based off his own experience of surviving a shipwreck that lasted for 30 days. During this time, he and 3 other men were forced to navigate their way back to shore. When he finally returned to the mainland, he then wrote a report about the incident, which eventually resulted in the story The Open Boat being created. So, as I stated earlier, Stephen Crane's The Open Boat is based off his own experience of surviving a shipwreck. For this particular story, I believe that the reader response criticism would suit best in criticizing this certain piece of literature. Reader response criticism has a lot to do with the reader's interpretation of the work and how the reader connects with the characters in the story. Reader response criticism is not limited to certain aspects of the story because it is based off what the reader thinks of the stories and the ideas and themes of the story that the reader comes up with. And with many realistic stories tied into this type of criticism, the reader is able to guess what is going to happen next in the story or piece of literature, and are usually supplied with the information later on in the story to prove whether they were right or wrong in their assumptions. Also, this type of criticism makes each reader's experience with the story unique and unlike other readers' experiences. Looking at this piece through the lens of the reader response criticism, there are many aspects of this story that I realized I as a reader was able to connect to and bring my own interpretations to. For example, as I was reading this story, I was able to connect to the captain in his sense of sadness and loss over the sunken SS Commodore ship. And due to this connection, I was able to interpret the story differently than, say, someone who sympathized more with the oiler, the correspondent, or even the cook. And this type of analysis is the basis of the reader response criticism. Another example of this would be me as the reader guessing that eventually all the characters make it back to the shore, but none are the same as they were before. Their personalities have changed, their mindset about the open sea or land have changed. There are many different types of outcomes that could have happened with this story that I would have guessed. And when finishing this story, I would have found out if I was correct in any of my assumptions or interpretations of how this story would end it. There are many other examples of the reader response criticism within this story. And the ones I listed earlier in this presentation were just a few of them. These are the reasons why I chose the reader response criticism for the story The Open Boat. Thank you for listening to my oral presentation.